of the playoffs. The Trailblazers getting that, 114-110. Deni Avdija, 41 points, 7 rebounds, 12 dimes. An incredible performance as the Suns unable to hold on to the lead, down 8. Time now to welcome in CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez. And John, my, oh my, the script writers were in their bag for this night. Another thriller. The Trailblazers, after looking like they were going to lose it, right, with a few minutes to go, they come all the way back, and it's Deni Avdija, looking like a man who was possessed in this game. What did you see from him that just gave him so much confidence to will his team to the victory?
Yeah, I think for people who aren't really familiar with Deni Avdija's games, maybe some casuals, the Blazers play in the Pacific Northwest, they're late games. I think outside of Portland, Chris, I might have watched the most Blazers games of anybody, and they're just a super fun team, and they keep coming at you. And Deni Avdija has really had a level up season. He makes the All-Star team this year, and what you saw from him tonight is what the Blazers and Blazers fans have seen from him for much of the season, right? It's a career year for him, and he goes and he ties his season high with 41 points. He also has 7 rebounds and 12 assists, and he absolutely dominated that game from a Blazers perspective. It was really a two-man game between him and Drew Holiday. Shaedon Sharpe had some moments. Jeremy Grant had some moments. But the guy that got them across the line was Deni Avdija, and you saw him playing with the ball on the last few possessions where he was toying with that Suns defense, and they didn't have any answer for him, and he was just fantastic tonight. And he really saved them because they were up 14. It looked like it was their game, and then they have a brutal third quarter. They look absolutely lost to start the fourth quarter. They were making mistakes, throwing the ball all over the gym, missing shots, not making free throws, and then all of a sudden they go on a run, and all of that was Deni Avdija. So huge win for the Portland Trailblazers in a season that this was a feel-good season for both teams, both the Suns and the Blazers. But the Blazers, it's been a minute since they've been in the postseason, and now they get to face the Spurs for all of their effort. But great win for them tonight.
Yeah, before we get to the Blazers taking on the Spurs in the first round, we got to talk about the Suns collapsing. Okay, with over 3 minutes to go, Jalen Green hits a 3. They're up 105-97. Why were they not able to close out the Trailblazers?
Yeah, it was a tough one, right? Because you get 28 from Devin Booker, you get 20 from Dillon Brooks, but Dillon Brooks ends up fouling out. Jalen Green had a great game. I mean, Jalen Green has missed a ton of time this season with a knee injury. He goes for 35 tonight. But I think late in this game, what you saw from the Suns wasn't so much that, why weren't they able to close out, is all of a sudden you look around and you go, okay, where are we getting offense from? It was basically 3 guys tonight for the Suns. And the Blazers defense has been excellent towards the end of the season. In the last 15 games of the regular season, the #1 rated defense in the NBA. And when things got tight, you saw that defense for the Blazers really pick up, and you saw the Suns start to look around like, how are we going to get buckets? And all of a sudden, when it looked like Phoenix had control in the fourth quarter, things got really difficult for their offense, and it got even worse for them once Devin Booker fouled out. Now you're down to basically 2 guys. So tough one for the Suns. We'll see whether or not they can last chance saloon in the game against the whoever comes out as the winner between the Clippers and the Warriors. But that's a tough defeat for Phoenix at home.
Yeah, absolutely, because you thought they had all the momentum, right, coming back down from 14 earlier in this game, but just not able to make enough plays here against the Trailblazers. Now, speaking of, right, their impending matchup against Golden State or the Clippers, who do you think they should want to face here?
Yeah, so they're 1-3, the Suns are, against the Warriors, and they're even up 2-2 against the Clippers. I don't think it matters much. A lot of these play-in teams, the Suns were pretty solidly the 7th team in the Western Conference this year. If they had made it in, towards the end of the season, they started to ebb a little bit. But there was a moment there where you thought they might be able to get into the 6th seed in the playoffs proper. They really were, though, among the play-in teams, the best of the bunch. Now, that didn't work out because it was only a 1-game situation where it's a win or have to play again situation for the 7-8 seed. That's what happens when it's single elimination. But against the Warriors have had a tough year, right? They just only recently got Steph Curry back. They've been offensively challenged even when he has played, and then not having Jimmy Butler, that's a tough one. And then the Clippers, they traded 2 of their 5 starters at the trade deadline. I'm not sure that the Clippers believe in the Clippers. So if you're the Suns, at the very least, look, tough loss tonight, but at the very least, you get to play this next one, win or go home, at home.
Yeah, now when it comes to the Trailblazers versus the Spurs in the postseason for the first time since 2018. The Trailblazers just 1-2 against San Antonio this regular season, and sometimes that means something, other times it doesn't. The Blazers match up with Wemby Spurs here, John.
Yeah, not great, right? I mean, like, look, it's been a second since the Spurs have been in the postseason, but it's also been a second since the Blazers have been in the postseason. This is the first time they've been in the playoffs since 2021. They haven't won a series since 2019. And while it's great, this is, again, they're playing with house money. Nobody expected them to be here. They're in the playoffs. This is a feel-good moment for them, right? The feel-good feelings, though, probably not going to last that long, because now all of a sudden you've got the San Antonio Spurs, who since February 1 have been the best team in the NBA. They've got a dominant defense, a really good offense. They're led by Victor Wembanyama, who's going to be the Defensive Player of the Year and is a top 3 MVP candidate. They're loaded up and down the roster. And oh, by the way, they're going to have home court advantage in the series. So if the Blazers take a single game off of them, Chris, I think that would be a win for them. It would also be surprising on my end. I've got them in a sweep on that. But hey, the Blazers, they're building blocks here, right? They've got some really nice young pieces. We've been talking about Deni Avdija, Donovan Clingan. They've hit on him. I like Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson. Your mileage may vary, but at least he's tried harder this season. You're going to get Damian Lillard next season. It's something for the Blazers to build on going into next season.
Yeah, for the Blazers, they really have nothing to lose, because as you pointed out, nobody was expecting them to be in this position when the regular season started. Cannot wait to see how that series is going to shake out. John Gonzalez, always appreciate the insight, brother. So here's a preview of Spurs and Blazers. So San Antonio has won each of the last 3 playoff series versus Portland. For the Trailblazers, they're seeking their first series win since 2019. And San Antonio, well, it's their first playoff appearance since 2019 as well.
And then really step on the gas in overtime and make sure they seal the deal.
Yeah, the Hornets have had one of these seasons where they don't know what they don't know, right? Since the All-Star break. I mean, they've been bad forever. And then all of a sudden, they started out the season not great, and then they just got so hot and went on a tear. And since the All-Star break, they were 18-9, second in offensive rating, leading the league in three-pointers made, second in three-point attempts, and third in three-point percentage. And that's really sort of the story of this game, right? Where even though LaMelo Ball drives me, and I suspect quite a few people, absolutely insane, the one thing I will give him credit for is that he is absolutely fearless. And he doesn't remember that he missed his last shot, or his last 5 shots, or his last 10 shots. And that's sort of the theme of the Charlotte Hornets under Charles Lee. He's empowered all these guys to just go out there and jack up shots. Now, one of them, Con Kneppel, he got taken out of the game tonight. And I thought that was a little bit of a curious decision, because he did lead the league in three-pointers and set a franchise record. But for the most part, this Hornets team is absolutely fearless. And you saw that in this game, where they get down in overtime and then they just come storming back to win this game. They should have lost this game about 12 different ways, and instead they figure out a way to give the Heat their first ever loss in a play-in elimination game. Nobody's been able to do it. The Hornets did it.
Hey, something about this Hornets team and this late kind of season momentum that they're gaining. But something else with the momentum happened with the Heat, and that was Bam Adebayo going down in the second quarter with a little bit of a collision there with LaMelo Ball. What did you think of that play, and why was there no foul called, and how much did that affect, obviously, the rest of the game for the Heat?
Why was there no foul call? Why was there no review? Generally, on an injury situation like that, you see the referees go over to the monitor, and I think that the Heat are probably wondering that very same thing, right? Because Bam Adebayo, who's one of their critical players, the leader of that team, only plays 11 minutes, leaves in the second quarter with a lower back injury and does not return. And it wasn't just a collision with LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball did sort of a sweep the leg situation on Bam Adebayo on his ankle. It looked like a very dirty play to me, and it ended up injuring Bam Adebayo, or at least not helping Bam Adebayo, and he wasn't available to come back. Now, in his absence, I will say that Kel'el Ware really stepped up. He had a monster double-double in 5 blocks. But what would this game have looked like if you had both of those guys crashing the boards? Because the Heat outpaced the Hornets as expected with points in the paint and fast break points. Who's one of your leaders that early in the game, that really does change the complexion of the game, because now all of a sudden you're looking for offense from Davion Mitchell, who tied a career high in points with 28. Andrew Wiggins stepped up with 27. Tyler Hero stepped up late, took him a second to get going, but not having Bam was a killer. And I'm going to guess, you and I are doing this post game right now. I'm going to guess when Eric Spoelstra steps up to the microphone for his post game, that we're going to hear something about that. And he's going to be wondering why the referees didn't review that.
Yeah, and we have no idea what kind of game it would have been if Bam was on the floor late when all of this madness kind of expounded. Now, John, we got to talk a little bit about the Heat and just what is next for them with the offseason, because they're eliminated now. What moves do you want to see them make to make them even more competitive next year?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? Because this was not a good season for the Heat. Everybody kind of expects them to get into the play-in tournament. We kind of call it the Heat Invitational. As I mentioned,